How's it going, Eliminators? Today I'm going to be doing a little update video on my 2019 Ford F-150. I'll be going over some of the things that I've done to it off camera since you've last seen it, showing you what it looks like now, and also going over what it will look like in the near future. So let's get right into it. So I've come down to Niagara College, Canada, here in Welland, Ontario. Nice little parking lot here for me to film, and as you guys can see, the first thing you're going to notice is I do have the 22-inch wheels installed. So these are Dub Baller 22 by 9.5 inch 30 offset wheels. And mounted on these wheels, I have some 305/45 R22 Nitto 420S street tires. I picked these wheels up at TireTrackers in Port Colborne, and they look amazing on this truck. The thick 5-spoke really sets off this truck, and with the 305/45 tire on there, it's a nice fat meaty tire, lots of traction. The tread pattern is quite aggressive, and this tread pattern was actually inspired by a designer. Now I'll quickly explain what the numbers mean on the tires. The 305 is the width of the tire in millimeters, so that's actually a 12-inch wide tire on a 9.5 inch rim. Now the reason I've done that is because I wanted a little bit of what's known as scrub protection or curb protection. So a lot of guys that run tires, maybe they're 285s on a 9.5 inch wheel, you're going to notice that the tire is going to be the same width as the wheel, and you'll end up getting what's known as curb rash. If you ever run into a curb, it will end up scratching and gouging the side of your rim, and I didn't want that, so I went with the 305, and the 45 stands for the profile, which is going to be the height of the sidewall right there. So a lot of guys I've seen running 22s, they end up running what's known as a 40 profile tire, and it just kind of looks like a rubber band. It makes your ride stiffer, and these tires are honestly probably the best tires I've ever driven on. My only other option that I was going to go with were the Toyo Proxys ST3s, but I believe they were $30 or $40 more per tire, so I ended up going with the Nittos, and yeah, the truck just looks awesome. And because the truck is black, I also wanted to go with some black anodized lug nuts. I think it just gives the truck a little bit of contrasting color and really sets the wheels off. I now have a tonneau cover installed on the back of this truck. So this tonneau cover here is made by a company called Truxedo, and this model is the Pro X 15. Truxedo.com, check them out. This tonneau cover is a canvas tonneau cover, so there's absolutely no maintenance like there would normally be with a vinyl or leather one where you have to put the UV protectant on it. This doesn't have any maintenance. It won't fade, and it looks awesome. Now, a lot of complaints that I see with guys that run tonneau covers is that they want something that's waterproof, but honestly, you're not going to get something that's 100% waterproof unless you get the big fiberglass shell that comes over the edges of your truck. So Truxedo uses a term that's called weatherproof, and the way they establish that is by using a rubber weather stripping on the rear where the tailgate is. That seals that up. To open it up, you simply pull this little latch here, and it does have Velcro along the edges, so this is just simply a roll-up tonneau cover. They also have these stability bars, and you guys are going to notice that there's 1, 2, 3 stability bars across it. Now, because it's not a hard tonneau cover, or let's say something like a trifold, you are going to get a little bit of the water dipping in the middle, but I can assure you that this tonneau cover has never leaked. I have a picture that I took after a night of some heavy rain, and I came out in the morning and opened up the tailgate, and there wasn't any water on the inside of it. So while it may not be a completely sealed waterproof tonneau cover, it is 100% weatherproof, and I love it. It cost about $715 fully installed. You guys are also going to notice that I have a little cargo net. This thing just uses bungee cords here, and it's quite nice for going to get groceries. You know, with a single cab truck, you don't have a lot of room to store anything other than the floor in front of the passenger seat. So just being able to go and put some grocery bags inside of there is really nice, and keeps things from sliding around in the bed. And the way that it mounts is it just comes and wraps around the Ford factory box link. So you just push it up through the center and then loop it around the edge there. Now when you're ready to close this up, you simply line up this bar here inside of those hooks there. Make sure you have both sides lined up, and then you're just going to go ahead and push down on it. And just like that, you have a nice slim looking tonneau cover, and it's pretty sporty, I'd say. Now I still have the JLT 3.0 oil separator installed here. If you want to see a video installation of that, you can click in the top right of your screen. I also have the K&N Blackhawk cold air intake still installed. I have a full installation and before and after video for that I will link as well. I just wanted to note that the MBRP exhaust has gotten a little bit deeper and a little bit louder since I installed it. So I plan on doing a little quick update video in the near future on that. Maybe mount some GoPros to the side so that you guys can hear what it sounds like close up. I have a before and after and a full installation video of that. So if you guys want to check that out, again, links are in the description down below. And sticking with the cargo netting theme, I also picked one of these up from Amazon.ca for about $16 Canadian. It's just a netting that hooks up to your headrests and then to the bottom of the seat and just allows you to put some stuff inside of these little areas here. It's always nice having a little bit of extra storage. Now, apart from my dash being quite dusty and my truck needing an interior detailing, one of the things that I've done to the truck was used a software program called FORScan to enable and disable certain features on the truck. For example, one of the modifications that I did was enabled something called IPC Quick Boot, which basically just lets the computer system boot up quickly when you first turn the key on. So you're going to notice that instead of displaying the Ford animation, the computer system boots up right away. Now, I normally don't listen to the radio, and I've disabled the Sirius XM radio feature from the source list. I plan on going over a full list of FORScan features that you can enable and disable, and I also plan on filming a full tutorial on how to download, install FORScan, and how to set it up and properly use it. Now, because I don't listen to FM radio or Sirius radio, I use USB music. And because I use USB music, I like my system to boot up as quickly as possible because when the Ford animation displays, it just takes longer for the computer system to boot up. And then on top of that, the USB stick down here needs to do something called indexing. Now, I have approximately 40 gigabytes of music on that USB stick, so you could imagine that there's quite a few folders inside of that USB stick for every single artist, and every single artist has multiple albums, so you could imagine there's going to be a lot of folders and a lot of indexing to do. So the quicker the computer system can boot up, the quicker I can listen to music. Now, that pretty much covers all of the things that I've done to the truck so far. Now, if you'll remember though, in the last video that I did, I only had the Ford Performance drop shackles installed and I didn't have the blocks removed at that time. So now you're going to notice that the truck is sitting almost perfectly level depending on how much fuel I have in it. So if I had a full tank, this truck would be sitting almost level. So the blocks are removed now. The Ford Performance M3000 HA drop shackles are installed, and in total it took about 2.5 inches out of the rear end of this truck. I didn't want it any lower because it is still a 4x4. I like to tow with it, and I saw some comments that said that if you have drop shackles or the rear blocks removed from the rear of your truck, that you somehow negatively impact your towing capacity or your payload capacity, and that's just not true. The towing and payload capacity of this truck has not changed. The axle load rating hasn't changed. The springs haven't changed, only the position of where the springs are bolted has changed. The only thing that's changed is just the position of where the rear sits. So you could imagine that when the truck's back end was way up in the air, if you loaded a 8,000 pound trailer on it, it would sit level when it was loaded. So now, obviously, if I loaded a heavy trailer onto this truck, the rear end would squat. So because of that, I will be looking at installing some airlift airbags with maybe a heavy duty dual compressor at some point in the near future. But right now, the heaviest thing that I'll be towing with this truck is going to be my friend's car hauler with maybe a derby car on it. So I'm only looking at about 5,000 pounds. Now, I normally tow my utility trailer behind this truck, and the heaviest thing that I do haul is going to be like a zero-turn riding lawnmower. So I do have a 3-inch drop hitch installed with a 2-inch ball on it, and that basically puts my utility trailer sitting perfectly level with the rear end of the truck. If I do hook up a trailer that weighs more, then I normally go to the 2-inch or the 1-inch drop hitch. Now, I do have some big plans for this truck. I reached out to Diode Dynamics. They make aftermarket LED replacement bulbs for all kinds of different vehicles, and they sent me a box of LED bulbs that are going to pretty much replace all of the factory white lights on this truck. So in the near future, you guys are going to see some installation videos coming up on my channel. I'll be doing headlight installation videos. They'll cover the high beams and the low beams. I'll also be installing their SLF fog light replacement bulbs. I'll be installing some replacement LED bulbs inside of the cargo lights, as well as the third brake light. Additionally, I'll be doing some reverse light installs. And last but not least, in order to make the Eliminator license plate shine, I'll be installing some replacement license plate light bulbs. Now that takes care of all the LED upgrades that I'm going to be doing, but one of the biggest appearance modifications that I'm going to be doing is removing the XLT chrome grille, and I'm going to be installing a Ford OEM STX or Sport Package grill. Basically, it's the black honeycomb grill. I'm trying to find one used that's been taken off of a wrecked truck for a little bit cheaper than what Ford sells it for, but I'm having a hard time finding one in agate black, which is what my truck is painted. eBay has a whole bunch of them in all different colors, but as my luck would have it, they don't have any in black. So I'm going to just buy one from the factory. Now, having said that, the OEM Ford factory logo installed on the XLT grills will not work on the STX grills, so I'm going to be purchasing a Putco Ford OEM licensed light up LED emblem. They're pretty cool. They're black with white Ford lettering and a white Ford outline, and then as soon as you start the truck up and turn it on, they illuminate with a 6000K LED light. They look super cool, and I think it will really finish off the look of the front end of this truck. Now, I plan on doing what's known as a full chrome delete on this truck, which includes blacking out the side emblems there, and also getting some bumper shells, which are basically plastic covers that go over the front and rear bumpers, and they'll just black out the chrome, and just like the emblem, it'll kind of set off the grille. So the only thing that's going to be silver on this truck are going to be the wheels, the exhaust coming out the side, and I think it will look super clean. And last but not least, I wanted to end the video with me installing something. So coming over to my antenna here, you guys are going to notice that that's the factory antenna. They're not really recommended to take through car washes because they've been prone to, well, get wrapped up inside of the machines and snap off. So I ended up purchasing an antenna mast, part number A010-FD2. It is a 6 3/4 inch short stubby antenna, and I'm going to be using a 3/8 wrench to remove the factory antenna, and then we're going to go ahead and install the new one, and hopefully it just cleans up the look of the truck. Now the first thing we're going to do is loosen off the antenna using the 3/8 wrench here, and that's just simply going to unthread. So you're just going to unscrew that. We're going to remove that. And before we go ahead and install the new antenna, I just wanted to come to the back of the truck here and show you guys the difference between the two. Quite a substantial difference. And while the factory antenna needed the 3/8 wrench to be uninstalled, the new one is simply going to thread in, and we're just going to go ahead and tighten that up. And then we'll just go ahead and snug that down, and that is now secure. So we have our new antenna installed, and I think that it looks a lot better already, guys. Check that out. So now I can go through a car wash if I wanted to, and I don't have to worry about my antenna ripping off. I bought that on Amazon for about $29, and well, I think it just makes the truck look a little bit better. And that's going to wrap up today's video, guys. So if you enjoyed the video, think about leaving me a thumbs up. You know, it really helps me out. I have a whole bunch of awesome stuff planned for this truck, including software mods, aftermarket installs, you name it. With that being said, you can click here to subscribe and click over here to watch one of my previous videos. I upload every single week, so be sure to stop on by next week, check channel out for new content. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.